As a Christian, could you imagine a time when you could fully depend on the leaders of your church to speak for God? That you knew they brought a direct message from God Himself? Yes, there was a time when this was the case and no king or supreme ruler was needed. No need to wonder if the answer to your prayer or inquiry was inspired by God or the mere and faulty thoughts of man. One would think this was a good thing. However, the natural heart cannot accept the light of God, whether it be from Christ Himself in His person, or through His ministry in the sanctuary service. Jesus said to His servant Samuel, "Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them." One must ask, what might be the consequences of such a rejection? Or is there no difference one way or the other? But if men disregard the path lighted by the heavenly beings, and choose a path suited to their own natural hearts, they will stumble on in darkness, not knowing where they stumble or why. They will accuse and hate the very ones who make straight paths for their feet. The history of Cain and Abel will be repeated. So after Samuel reminded the Israelites of their deliverance from Egyptian bondage, and who saved them out of their adversities and tribulations, they said, "Nay, but set a king over us." This was a great mistake. Not only did this king plunder and pilfer the goods of their land, including people, the Israelites were sold into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. One would think God's children would want Him to be their leader and use mortal men as their servants. After all, Matthew 20 verse 27 says, "And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant." God's children said, "No, let him be our king." Beloved, we could give many more examples of the baleful results of rejecting God and His way. The fact is, Israel has never been the same since this great mistake. But today's Christian might ask, what does this have to do with us? Yes, God's people made mistakes, but we certainly don't make the same mistakes ancient Israel did, do we? 1 Corinthians 10 verse 11 says, "Now all these things happened unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come." You guessed it, a very large number of today's Christians, also called evangelicals, are making the very same mistake. They are not satisfied with a "Thus saith the Lord" they claim to believe, but instead are clamoring for a king. There can be no doubt that unconverted hearts would not be content to listen and obey a holy God. No, they would want someone who is as corrupt as they are, and give them whatever they want. Listen carefully to how verse 5 of 1 Samuel chapter 8 puts it. "And said unto him, that would be Samuel, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. Do you not hear it? Behold, this old man POTUS 46 will not give us what we want, and his son is not acceptable. So make a king to judge us, as we want to be judged. Everybody who is anybody is doing it. We should too."
This king can do no wrong, and even if we don't like or agree with him, we'll pretend he's perfect, just, and righteous. We will make excuses for him at every turn, and support him despite any and all crimes he's committed or will commit. Yes, though he slay us, yet will we trust him. Why? Because he will establish the supremacy for our true God. The God of the United States, the one that appears docile like a lamb but speaks like a dragon. That God is none other than Lucifer, now called Satan. He is the great rebel. His claim to the hearts of many is white supremacy. Nothing is more precious than this. Our guns help guarantee this supremacy, and nothing is too precious to sacrifice for it, not even our innocent children.
For this grave and irreversible mistake, despite all evidences against the true and living God, we, that is the United States, and then the world, will reap what it has sown. It has sown to the wind and will reap the whirlwind. It has allowed the cancer that is white supremacy and its hero, POTUS 45 to destroy the First Amendment of our Constitution. Consequently, just as sure as God granted the wish of his people in Saul, their first king, and people like Barabbas instead of Christ, God will allow the deluded evangelicals to acquire their worship for their true God, Satan. POTUS 45 is only a conduit to pave the way for Satan. He is a froward man. God says, "A froward heart shall depart from me, I will not know a wicked person." The apostate Christians that are depending on their righteousness, Jesus says, "Depart from me, ye that work iniquity, I never knew you." Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. In addition, this froward man accuses others like his father, the accuser of the brethren, Satan. Why would this person, of all the eligible and capable people available, be chosen to be a ruler of any office? The Bible has an answer for this. "A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue." People that heed his words are wicked. This desire for a king, and a very wicked one at that, can only end in utter disaster and destruction. This is not my opinion. Consider 1 Samuel 12 verse 25. "But if ye shall still do wickedly, ye shall be consumed, both ye and your king." Hosea 8 verse 4 says, "They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I knew it not. Of their silver and their gold have they made them idols, that they may be cut off." God is allowing America to condemn itself in its choice and reluctance to put down the cancer that POTUS 45 represents. The baleful effect of this satanic acceptance and protection will ensure untold millions a place in the lake of fire. That is, those that accept false worship, those that support the mountain of evil, that is, the sins of the lamb like beast that speaks like the dragon, those that force and persecute others that actually love and serve the true and living God, will be utterly destroyed. God will not be mocked. We will reap what we sow. Don't fall for Satan's lie that we don't have religious freedom. He's trying to deceive us into giving it up through morality laws so he can impose cleverly disguised worship to himself. Sunday rest. The Heritage Foundation has neatly embedded these and other obscene overtures to their dear leader and idol, POTUS 45. Perhaps they mean well, perhaps they want a country free from crime, violence, and social ills. But they are not going about it in a Christ-like way. The Bible they claim to live by condemns blasphemous idol worship. Exactly the kind they blindly lavish on POTUS 45. It asks us to consider the plank in our own eye before we point out the speck in others' eyes. The conservative constituency is full of hypocrisy, always accusing others while doing worse than the accused. They are the modern-day Pharisees. Jesus said they do the lust and will of their father, Satan. He also said to beware of their leaven, which is hypocrisy. If they actually lived what they teach and preach, they wouldn't need to mandate anything. People would actually want the peace and fulfillment that comes with serving a loving God. They may even want to join them. But no, society must be forced to do what they think is right, to live by their own self-righteousness. God simply asks us to follow him. Satan uses lies, deception, and ultimately force to get compliance and worship. This is what is wrong with the conservative movement, and it is all prophesied in the Bible. See Revelation 13 verses 11 to 18, Ezekiel chapter 8 and Daniel 7 verse 25 among other verses. Reject any would-be king. Only Jesus is the real king. Preserve and maintain our republic, which means people rule, not any king, and our freedom to worship as we choose. This is God's way. This allows people to make a decision to obey or not to obey. God would have knocked the forbidden fruit out of Adam's hand if he didn't want us to have a choice. Evangelical leaders and the Heritage Foundation's mandate seek to play God, remove choice, and use their favorite king to enforce it. Unwittingly, they honor him who compelled men's consciousness in chattel slavery. Now they are going for men's consciousness for who they will serve, God or Satan. Satan has deceived them into thinking it's for God, when it's really for himself.